Using time rest to improve your performance in the gym is probably one of the lowest hanging fruits in your training. This is a conversation that I've been inspired by after a podcast with my friend Kian. You can check it out in the link in bio or on screen now. Typically you'll see every minute on the minute or time rest training in something like CrossFit, and I haven't done anything like this since I was doing CrossFit about 7 or 8 years ago. What people will typically do is pick a skill movement, for example, a bar muscle up, handstand walk or handstand push up, and practice that either every 90 seconds, 60 seconds, or if it's your strength work, you might want to spread it out over every 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then increase load over the reps. Quite often coaches will also use this for something like the Olympic lifts, where athletes can get into their own head, and it's quite useful for getting them to practice the technique on lighter days. However, I think an undervalued aspect of using every minute on the minute type training is for prioritizing strength outcomes. So often we have associations to certain rep schemes, whether it's 3x3 or 5-3-1 for building strength. This is exactly what I've done with my deadlift. I've decided to do every minute on the minute for the last 5 weeks. I started the block with a 2RM of 260 kilos, and my plan was to end the block, or in about 5 to 6 weeks, hit 250 for 10 singles every minute on the minute. You can see my progress on screen now, and on week 5, I hit 260 for 10 singles. If you're not sure about how you can integrate every minute on the minute training for your strength work, I recommend you start with something around 70%. This might seem conservative, but you can always be more reactive with load selection, which is a benefit of using every minute on the minute work anyway. If things aren't going too well, you can either cut the minutes short. You don't necessarily have to do 10 minutes every round. You can pick any numbers you like. On the last week, I wanted to cut them short at around minute 7, but I decided to pursue on anyway. If it was my own athlete, I probably would have cut them at about 6 or 7 minutes. Typically, this kind of slot for myself is replacing a 3x3. So as long as I accumulate around 9 reps, I'm really happy with the training. If you set an RPE cap for something like this, which is what I recommend, hopefully you're familiar with RPE, but if you aren't, you can set an RPE cap where as long as the reps in reserve doesn't increase past a certain point. So if we had every minute on the minute for your first week at an RPE cap of 8, as long as the reps on rep 10, on minute 10 or 9, don't go beyond 8, then you can probably be safe to say that you've done it quite well. If they do go beyond an 8, you can always cut it back in load. If you really like this concept but you aren't sure how it's going to work for your training, you can try something as simple as clusters. Cluster sets are where you're going to perform a rep and then have a rest. So you can do something like a 3x3 cluster set of deadlifts, and you can rest about 10 to 15 seconds between each rep. The benefit of every minute on the minute or these kind of clusters are going to allow you to practice a setup, and it's probably going to be a lot less fatiguing than doing something like a heavy 3x3 where you might need to rest for quite a long period of time. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video, and I'll speak to you soon.